In this chapter, I'd like us to spend a little time improving our simple CMS. Up until this point, we've been doing a little work here and a little work there, but now it's time to begin whipping things into shape so that this can become a full and respectable working application. We'll start by creating the admin user CRUD to allow us to maintain the list of site administrators. We never created it before, and now that we've set up our user authentication, I think we're ready for it. This is also a great place to begin our improvements because you should have acquired all the skills that you need to do this entirely for yourself. It will be an opportunity for you to apply and review everything we've covered so far. Here's what I suggest. I'll go over a list of requirements for the CRUD. Then you can pause the movie and try to do it all on your own. If you get stuck, refer back to the CRUD that we created for subjects, pages, and sections. Then when you're ready, unpause the movie and I'll show you how I did it so that you can compare. Let's go over the requirements and goals. So first, in the model, there are two things I want us to do. I want you to define a method called name, which will simply return the admin user's first name and their last name with a space in between. There are going to be a lot of occasions where we're going to want to have the user's first and last name together, and this will just save us a little bit of typing by having this convenience method. Then I want you to define a named scope called sorted that is going to order by last name and then first name, and that will be ordered ascending so that Anderson comes before Smith. Once you've got those in place, then we need to move over to the controller. The first thing you'll do is generate the admin users controller. Once that file is created, you'll want that controller to use the admin layout, and you'll also want to restrict access to all actions in that controller only to logged in users. The actions that we're going to have in the controller will be index, list, new, create, edit, update, delete, and destroy. All the actions that we've been looking at so far, with the exception of show. We're not going to have a show action because the user is so simple. It's really just first name, last name, email address, and username. We don't display their password. It's really just those four fields. We can put all of those in the list view and then not have to have a show view at all. Now in that list action, you're going to use that named scope, sorted, so that you can sort by the last name and the first name. The next stop after the controller is going to be the views. So in each one of the templates, set the HTML page title. You'll remember we had a variable called @PageTitle that we were using to do that. Utilize view helpers throughout your views. The ones that I'm going to use are link to, mail to, pluralize, and cycle. Certainly feel free to use others if you want and try other ones out, but see if you can work all four of those in there. And then also utilize the form helpers, form for, label, text field, password field, and submit tag. Make sure that you display form errors so that if we have any validation errors, those will show up. And finally, once you've got all of that working, make sure that you add a link in accessmenu.html.erb that will take you to this admin user's CRUD that we just created so that we have a way to get there from the main menu. So go ahead and pause the movie, try it on your own. I'll wait just a second and then I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so hopefully you did well on your own. Let me show you how I came up with my answers. So inside the model, inside admin user, we're going to define a new method. Let's put it right here above the password matching, def name. And inside that, we just want to put a string with first name and then a space and then another string called last name. That has to be a double quoted string in order for these kinds of interpolations to work. So that'll just return first name and last name for this user. The second thing was we want to create a named scope. So right below where I have my other one, I'll put in a new one. This one will be called sorted. And all sorted will do is the order. And then the thing we want to order by is admin users last name ascending, followed by admin users first name ascending. And that's it. So that will be the order clause that we can then use. We can just use sorted, and then that will make sure that it applies this sort order. Okay, so that takes care of the model. Now let's move over to the controller. So I'm going to open up my terminal and we'll generate Rails generate controller and then admin users, plural, that's going to be the controller. And then if you remember, there was the tip I gave you that you can put the actions that you need templates for after it. So list, new, edit, and delete. That leaves out the show action. We're not going to be using it. Okay, so that'll create our controller. Let's just pop over here. Admin users controller. So it's already created for us. We need to add a couple more on our own. We have index, and the index is just going to do the list action. Very common. Just do list. We're also going to need one for create, and we're also going to need one for update. And finally down here, the last one, destroy. There we go. Now before we fill in those methods, I'm just going to jump up here to the top, and I'm going to add the layout, admin layout is what we want, and also the before filter, confirmed login. Remember that's inside application controller, so we have access to it. And it's going to apply to everything that's in here. Now for the list, we just want to have admin users equal to admin user, and then we can call our named scope, sorted. So that's it. That will just return all the admin users, sorted, last name, and then first name. For new, we just know that we need to have admin user equals admin user.new, and then we'll take that same thing down to edit, but instead of new, we're going to be finding it using params ID. Now, rather than you watch me type it all, I'm going to paste in the create method. You can see I'm just calling new admin user with the params for admin user, actually it should be. And then admin user save, it'll return admin user created and redirect me to the list. Otherwise, it'll give me the form again. All right, let's roll those up out of my way. We have the edit action already. Now I'll paste in the code for update. So you can see we're going to find it again. This time though, we're going to update the attributes using the hash from admin user. We'll return a flash notice and redirect them to list. Otherwise, we'll send them to the edit page again. For delete, we know that that looks very similar to the edit page. We just want to be able to find the user and then ask, hey, are you sure you want to delete them or not? And then the destroy method, I'll paste in here. We're just going to find that admin user, destroy them, return the flash notice, and send them to the list. Okay, so that takes care of all of our controller actions. Let's save that, and let's jump over to our views. So in our views, inside admin users, let's go to the list view first. Now, once again, I'm just going to paste in the code here. This is very similar to what we did for subjects. You can see I'm declaring @PageTitle here so that the layout will have access to that variable and be able to display it in the title bar of my browser. I've got a link here for creating a new admin user. I'm using pluralize on admin user's size so that I can say how many records were found. And then I'm displaying the username, their name, email, and then actions. Notice that for name, I'm not doing first name and last name. I'm just calling their simple name. I'm making use of cycle here with odd and even. Then we're using link to for both the actions of edit and delete. Actually, that should be to the delete action. That's my mistake. Okay, so we'll save that. Now let's jump over to the new template. I'll paste in the code for that. Again, very similar to what we did for subjects. You can copy and paste from there and just change the relevant parts. Back to list will take us back to the listing. Other than that, we've just got simple HTML with a form for form. So it's going to use admin user in the form. It will submit it to create, and then it's going to render the form partial. We don't have that partial yet. We'll need to create that. Let's do that real quick. Form.html.erb. Let's go back to new for a moment, and then notice that I've got the locals declared with F. Let's save that, and let's jump over to our form now. For the form, I'm going to have the fields for first name, last name, email, username, and password. Now remember, we're not using hashed password. We have an attribute accessor there that allows us to just use password, and then callbacks will do all the hashing for us. That one is a password field. Everything else is going to be a text field. Notice that I'm using labels there. That's always a good idea. And then error messages for is that helper method that we wrote. Remember, it's back here inside application helper. Error messages for is going to render this shared partial for us. So we have the ability to call it because it's an application helper. We can call it from any one of our templates. So I'll just pass in admin user to that. Okay, so that takes care of the form. Now let's look at edit. Edit's going to be very similar to what we had for new. The main difference is that the form action is going to be to update with the ID of admin user ID. So let's save that one and let's jump over to the delete template. Paste that in. Again, very similar. It's a form, admin user. The action is going to be destroy with that ID. And that's how we'll go about deleting it. Are you sure you want to delete this admin user? Notice that I'm using admin user name here as the shortcut instead of having to put admin user first name space admin user last name. It's a lot easier because we have that convenience method to help us. So let's say that takes care of all the templates for our CRUD. The one other thing we want to do is go into access and to menu, and instead of manage admin users with this placeholder here, we now need to direct it to the appropriate controller, which is going to be admin users plural. And it can just go to the default action there. It'll just go to index, which will show us the list. So now that we've got all this, let's try it all out and make sure we didn't make any mistakes, and then we can fix them if we did. So I'll go back to my command line, Rails server, and I'll open up Firefox, local host 3000, and let's go ahead and go to admin. If we're logged in, then that will take us to the menu, but it didn't. We are not logged in. So we need to log in, K Skogland, and then password I had was secret password. Type in whatever you've got. So here I am, manage admin users now. Takes me to the admin users page. Notice I'm using mail to for the email, so I can actually click right here and be able to write an email to this person. One admin user found. Add new admin user. We could create a new user that way. Let's try editing. All right, here's the edit. Let's try changing the name of the email address just to see if that works. It did. Now it's kevin@nowhere.com. And then we could delete it as well. But obviously I don't want to do that because I want to keep that admin user in there. So that's it. So we've now created all of the CRUD. Hopefully that was a good review for you and you were able to do a lot of this on your own. If not, spend some time going back and looking at the code and make sure you understand it. Because this kind of really simple CRUD, it really is the fundamental part of what the rest of Rails is based on. If you can do this, then you're able to do those other things with no problem.